So what's wrong with the traditional feasibility study? Well, first, the study may be premature for your circumstances. I've seen many cases where consulting firms execute the study before the client is ready, before you have had a chance to answer 3 critical questions. 1, have you identified and prioritized your top major gift prospects? 2, have you included those best prospects in the study? And 3, if you want to test the feasibility of, say, a $3 or $5 or $10 million goal, have you thought this through? Do you have enough prospects to make a goal of that magnitude possible? I mean, for example, I've seen people test a goal of $10 million, and the study came back, no, you can't hit $10 million. And then when I asked them later on to see the prospect list that another consulting firm used for them, there wasn't a $1 million prospect on the list. Well, if you do the math on a $10 million campaign, it's virtually impossible to get to $10 million without at least a couple of $1 billion gifts up front. Does that make sense? So before you launch a feasibility study, you have to have those 3 questions answered. Have you identified and prioritized your top major gift prospects? Have you included your best prospects in the study? And have you done the math on the raw data of the number of prospects and the quality of the prospects so that a goal of whatever magnitude you're trying to reach is even possible? Those are the 3 questions you have to answer. Why are these top gifts so critical to the overall goal? It's because over the course of the last 20 years, and especially over the course of the last 10 years or so, wealth continues to be consolidated in fewer and fewer hands. And what that means is that to hit a goal of $3, $5, $10, $20 million, it doesn't require more people, it requires less people who have more and more wealth. I'll give you a couple of examples. Just recently I finished a $5 million campaign, and in that campaign, the first 2 gifts were $1 million, the next 2 gifts were $500,000, the third one was $300,000. Well, there's $3.3 million that came from 5 people, right? And so the question on the table is, before you do a feasibility study, have you identified who those people might be? Have you included them in the study? And do you have overall enough prospects to make whatever goal you're trying to hit a possibility? Those 3 questions have to be answered before you go ahead and test the questions that you're testing in the feasibility study. And again, why are these top prospects so important? It's because wealth is being consolidated in fewer and fewer hands. And that means if you don't score, if you don't hit, on those really big gifts at the top of what I call the giving pyramid, it's really impossible to make it up with lots and lots and lots of smaller gifts. So that's one issue that comes up with the traditional feasibility study, is it may be premature. You may not have had enough groundwork laid in prospecting and developing your prospect list to even be ready to launch a feasibility study.